welcome to the Fat Doctor podcast. I am your host, Dr. Asha Lamy, Britain's most outrageous doctor ? And today I am going to be talking about artificial intelligence. Not in a kind of sci-fi nerdy way. I save that for conversations with my family because they're all nerds, in a good way. I say that with absolute love and passion. But today I am going to be talking about AI and use of AI. I've just realised that my phone is on vibrate. That's fine. Vibrate is okay. So the reason that I'm recording this episode of this podcast, is not because people have been sort of repeatedly having a go at me on social media. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm not particularly interested in people who are, quote unquote, disappointed in me. Go ahead, be disappointed. I am not going to be debating my choices and my beliefs with random people on the internet. Because, I don't have enough time or energy. And I think I've made that very clear in the last couple of episodes, so I don't need to explain that. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I think it's a really important conversation to have. And it kind of brings up a lot of issues, which I think are very relevant. So I want to talk today about why I have chosen over the last few weeks, possibly a couple of months, to use AI when it comes to creating images. And to begin with, I want to explain how I use AI. I am looking for images of fat people with diverse bodies. So not just fat, but fat and diverse. And there are, as you are probably all aware, are some kind of stock photos that you can tap into. I'm pretty sure we all use the same ones. And they're on Unsplash and Pexels and in Canva. It's the same fat models in the same poses. And I've seen them everywhere. And these are stock photos that we need to use because we want to have fat representation in our work. But sometimes, and more recently, I have been looking for specific images. Like I want a picture of a fat person in hijab. I want a picture of a fat disabled person. I want a picture of a fat trans person. And that gets harder and harder to come by unless you have the money to pay artists. So either photographers or illustrators. Now, to be very clear, the perfect solution here, the ideal solution here is pay the damn artist. Ideally, pay fat artists to create fat art. There is no question that is the solution. But here's the thing, I can't. I don't have the money. I don't have the money to pay myself, let alone the money to pay other people. I have a minimum amount of money that I need to make every month in order to pay my bills. I am the primary breadwinner in my house. I have a disabled husband who is not able to be a dentist. That's his job. He's a dentist. Don't ask me about that. That's a different podcast. Maybe one day I'll persuade him to come and do a podcast with me and we can discuss how disgusting being married to a dentist is. But that's not the point about this. He is not he has not been able to work since 2020, and so I got bills to pay people and I have to pay them. And those of you who've been paying attention know that I can't do that as a doctor anymore, so I will do what I have to do. My family comes first and it comes above everything else, and I am not opposed to breaking laws and treading into murky waters in order to provide for my family. And if you don't like that, then that's don't listen to the rest of this, because this podcast isn't for you and I'm not for you. So I want specific images because I want I need images of fat people, and there aren't any. The ones that I need, the diverse bodies, there are very few and far between. They're stock images we've all used. They portray a certain thing, a certain type of beauty. They're fat, but they are fat and, dare I say it, beautiful. And all the ones that are brilliant, understandably so, require payment. And of course they do. That's correct. They should require payment. And so I want to point out that there is an abundance of stock images of thin people, and there is an abundance of illustrations of thin people. The fact that there aren't that many of fat people is weight stigma, right? It's just another way that we as fat people are being punished. There aren't enough images of people that look like us out there. And even the models, the so-called plus size models, like we've seen what they do, right? Like they all like pad themselves. The really fat models, the incredible fat models, don't get much work. The fat artists don't get much work. The fat illustrators don't get much work. Why? Because of weight stigma, because of white supremacy, because of fucking colonialism. That's why. So we're all being punished, all fat people, including me. Why do I want images of fat, diverse bodies? This is really important. Why is it so important to me? Okay, the first thing is because I want to see images of me. I've not seen that many images of me. When I look at trans accounts that I follow, they're all thin and androgynous looking. I very rarely see a fat trans mask who hasn't had surgery, who hasn't had top surgery. They're hard to come by, you know. I want to see images of me, and I imagine people listening to this want to see images of themselves. And the more marginalised, the more oppressed, the more diverse that body is, the fewer images there are out there. So, of course, I want to be the one to do that because I want personally to see images of people who look like me. And I, at the same time, want you to feel included. So when you see, I don't know, an image about a course that I'm doing or a social media post or something like that, I want you to look at that, to be able to look at that, even if you don't know anything about me, even if you've never met me before, even if like you're new to my account, and be like, oh, it's me. Oh, this person is interested in me. This person isn't just putting thin, even fat, let's say fat, but fat people, women with beautiful blonde hair and an hourglass figure and a thin face on their page. They're like putting, you know, fat people who are non-binary and in a wheelchair. Like, that's amazing. That's me. I mean, I'm already included because pictures speak 1,000 words. We know this. We know this, folks. Images are so important. I want people to know who I am by looking at the work that I produce. And that's because that's how this business goes. It's how the world works. Like I said, I'm trying to earn money. And if I've got 5 seconds on social media to persuade you to pay attention to a course I'm offering or, a group that I want you to buy into, most of you are listening to my work for free. Are benefiting from all of my work for free. And that's fine. That's the way it works. Very few of you are actually financially investing into me at all, supporting me in any way. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I have a certain amount of time to persuade people that they want to buy from me. And so when I get that time, I want them to see an eye-catching image that represents me. Now, as I said before, in an ideal world, I will pay someone to create that for me. But since I don't have the money, I cannot do that. And that's why I started to use AI. I was sick and tired of having I realised that having basic stuff without images wasn't catching the attention. It wasn't working with the fucking social media algorithm. I needed to create posts that people were paying attention to and that would get me seen in a world where I am practically fucking invisible. So I did what I had to do. I'm trying to grow my business. 2024, I need to earn money. Why do I need to earn money? Because in 2022, the GMC made it impossible for me to work as a doctor. And it is now 2024. I sold my car. I sold everything that I had. I lived off the money. Last year, I made, I think it was £5,713 in total last year in terms of income. I lived off my savings, and I can't do that this year because I'm running out of fucking savings. This is my reality. This is the reality that I find myself in. So here are my options. I don't use images, or I use AI. There is not a third option, which people seem to be implying there is, which is pay artists. I agree you should pay artists, but I cannot afford to. And I think it's rather hypocritical that the same people who are criticising me for not paying artists are also not paying me. I find that very hypocritical. But, you know, I also know where they're coming from. I also know that a lot of these sort of comments come from, it's their issues. They got issues. It's not my issues. They're just putting their issues onto me. They're transferring their issues onto me, and it's a part of life. So like I said, this is not why I'm doing this podcast. It's not because I'm like, these people have said stuff about me and I must defend myself on my podcast. Not at all. Most of you are just blocking and deleting your posts. I'm not interested. But I actually really wanted to put this out there because, like I said, I think there's some really key important points here that we're missing in the conversation. And there's something here, as a term I heard recently, about ethical perfectionism. And I kind of alluded to it last time or the time before, I can't remember, when I was talking about how often people who are quite right-wing in their thoughts, quite right-leaning, have no problems criticizing people that don't believe the same things as them. So like the other side, they will say whatever they want. They will slander the other side. They'll do whatever they want. They won't listen. They won't challenge their own beliefs. They won't do anything. But they're far less inclined to criticize the people that are on their side. And what I've noticed is on the left, especially on the very left, I'm seeing a lot of people who are essentially quicker to criticize other people on the same side, as it were, than they are anyone else. And to me, I love the term ethical perfectionism because we live in the real world and perfectionism is impossible. I cannot be wholly and completely ethical. I don't have what it takes to do that. If you're looking for someone perfect, you are in the wrong place. I thought I'd made that pretty clear by now. I mean, listen to my podcasts. If you're episode 16 or whatever, like if you've listened even to this season, to all of the podcasts, you will know I do no editing. I do nothing. Because I just can't. I don't have the time to do it. It's either don't do the podcast or do the podcast and don't be perfect. So I do the podcast and I'm not perfect and I'm okay with that. So ethical perfectionism is problematic. And the people who are being penalised once again are the people who are most oppressed. Because here's the thing. AI exists. It exists. It's not going anywhere. The box has been opened. It's not going back in the box. AI is going to take over our lives to some degree. I have an incredible son who is turning 16 soon. And he is a computer coder. Like, he's an amazing coder, an ethical hacker, and really into engineering, and he wants to work in artificial intelligence. All he's ever wanted to do his whole life to work in robotics. And we had this amazing conversation, he and I, not too long ago, about AI. He has a very different opinion about AI than other people, and I imagine that's because he's young, and so he kind of grew up with, even if it wasn't necessarily with AI as it is now, certainly the emergence of AI. It's been his life experience. And in the same way that, like, there were generations who feared the television, and then there were generations who feared, computers, and then there were generations that feared social media, and then there were my generation is not ready for AI. I'm from the fucking analog generation, right? I'm Gen X. I remember tape cassettes and vinyl records and, VCRs, and I sort of moved into the digital world, and I didn't really join social media until I turned 40, and it wasn't because it was fun. I joined social media because it was something that I needed to do for my activism to begin with, and now it's because of my business. So, I understand from both points of view what it's like to be like, why are you freaking out about this? Come on, this is just normal. And also at the same time to be like, whoa, this is so far out of my, my realms of understanding. But I want to remind you that once upon a time, everyone lived off the land, and then there was the Industrial Revolution. And it happened. And there were lots of problems with the Industrial Revolution. And, child labour and all sorts of things happen, like death and, the creation of the classes and, like cities and pollution. And oh my God, there's so many things we could talk about industrialisation. And then remember when, coal mines were being closed down and jobs were being taken over by robots, like factory worker jobs were being taken over by robots. And we all were like, this is a disaster. This is the end of the world, and it's not fair because jobs were being lost and people were being penalised, and it was real. I remember that. I remember the realities of people like losing their jobs and their livelihood overnight. But it happened. And now you're like with your cars and all of us. I'm recording on a laptop with a microphone and a camera, and I have a phone in my pocket, and pretty much everything that I own was probably created by in a factory, oftentimes without a human being involved, right? So it's life, and AI is the next evolution, step in the evolutionary process. AI, my son is like, look, AI is coming. It's come. It's done. And what he said, what I thought was quite profound, is, look, AI is going to do the job that nobody wants to do, which has always been the point of progress, hasn't it? The jobs that nobody really wants to do. Nobody wants to, I don't know, what do I use AI for? Like scheduling and, managing my calendar and stuff. Like once upon a time, I would have had to have hired a PA, but I can do that with AI, with computer programs and AI and apps and whatever you want to call it. Like they're not that different, folks. So I don't pay a PA anymore. But you don't hear PAs going, "Oh, it's not fair. It's not fair. Fuck Calendly. Fuck, Zoom." No, that's life, isn't it? But once upon a time, I would have, part of my business plan would be get a PA, or nowadays it'd be a VA, and I haven't needed to do that yet. Maybe I will one day. I'll let you know. But at the moment, I don't need to do that because of all of these things that are in my life that are making my life easier. And my son was like, that's what AI does. It takes away the jobs you don't want to do. But the thing about AI is it cannot be creative. It will never be creative. It will always be inauthentic, and everyone will be able to know. And this is the point I really wanted to make here, folks. The people who start criticizing me for using AI instantly knew when I started using AI. They were like, can you credit the artist? And I was like, there is no artist. And I'm being quite honest now. Like I am being very transparent. I realized that's one lesson I learned really quickly, is be very clear that you are using AI. So there's no question. So that everyone knows flat out up front, I'm using AI. But everyone knew immediately. And it wasn't like I posted a picture of someone with 6 fingers or something. By the way, everyone says that, but there are people out there that do have 6 fingers, so maybe we should stop saying stuff like that. But the images that I used basically were an image that I used on Canva, and then I added to it. I added my own like little flares, and I used like some of the graphics on Canva. I love playing around with Canva because it's the only place that I can be artistic and feel like I can achieve something that looks the way I want it to look. Like if I try and draw it, my hand doesn't seem to be able to create what I'm looking for. But so I'll say to AI, draw me a picture of a fat Asian woman with short hair and glasses, looking, into the distance. And so AI draws it, and then I take that picture and then I put some color in there, and I add this and I add that, and I put the text in, whatever, and I come up with an image, and I use that image to sell my course. So I can use it on my website, or I might put it on my social media account. I don't sell it. You don't see me trying to sell that image, like buy from me. Not at all. I'm never going to sell it. I just use that image on my website, and it's necessary because, again, I don't have the money to pay someone to make my website. So that website is all me. I did it all. And I have to pay for the website to exist. I have to pay for the domain name and the server and the host and everything. Let's say with the podcast. You're listening to this for free. It's not free from me. I'm paying for this. You don't just do a podcast. You have to pay. I've used Buzzsprout. Like that's how my podcast comes out. So my point is that, what is my point? My point is that I need these images to create a website, because I need a website, because if I want to sell something, you're going to want a website to go to. And I am already paying for all sorts of things. And so my business expenses do not extend to paying for artwork yet, especially if I'm not going to earn money from it. Now, that's very different to, for example, I'm hoping in the next few months, I'm going to publish a book. I'm going to self-publish it because no one is interested in publishing it. And that's fine. So I'm going to self-publish it. When I self-publish it, I'll need a book cover. Now, I will pay someone to create that book cover. I will not create that with AI. Why will I not create that with AI? Because I I'm selling that product, and especially if it's like a physical book rather than an ebook, I want people to, you pay for the book cover. Part of it is like, people do judge books by their cover, even though they're not supposed to. They do. So I'm going to pay the person who's going to create that amazing book cover for me in the future. I am absolutely not planning on selling any of the stuff that I create with AI. And all the stuff I do, all the masterclasses and courses and everything, that's all coming from up here, folks. It's all coming from in my head. It's coming from the hours and hours and days of research. I didn't get this from anyone else. There's no one out there that I'm sort of plagiarizing from. And I can't ask AI to help me. It's not like go to ChatGPT, tell me everything I need to know about weight loss surgery, because it will. It will not be the information I'm passing on to you. So, and I don't get AI to write for me because it doesn't write with my voice. And it's also fat phobic as fuck. So I'm not going to, I don't use AI for any of the stuff that I sell. I'm using it for my website. I'm using it to make my life easier. And this is the next thing. Why are you folks, some of you folks, so against me making my life easier? Why do you pick on everything I do? Probably not any of you that are listening. But why is that? Could it be that you've got issues? Because it's not me. Surely if you appreciate me and the work that I do, you don't want my life to be harder than it already is, do you? Because it's pretty hard. If you know me at all, I've not got an easy life. I don't. I had a very traumatic childhood, and I have multiple marginalized identities. I'm beginning to realize that everyone in my life who matters is neurodivergent, including my 3 children. And what I often put down to childhood trauma kind of goes hand in hand with everything that anyone has ever told me about ADHD. And I'm not saying I have ADHD, and I certainly haven't had a diagnosis, but it's starting to dawn on me that maybe my brain doesn't work exactly the same way as the average person in the population's brain works. Whether that's trauma, whether that's ADHD or whatever, it doesn't. I have mental health problems, serious mental health problems. I'm not walking around like the most privileged person in the world. I want to make it very clear that there are less privileged people than me, far less privileged people. And I have many privileges. Being a doctor is the biggest one, I think, is that kind of, status and the wealth and everything that comes from being a doctor. So I'm not like, oh, woe is me. But also, I don't have the easiest life either. And if you care about me, shouldn't you want my life to be good? Don't you want me to be happy? Do you really want me to get into more debt? Or are you comfortable with the idea that actually I should be able to pay my bills, even if that makes you uncomfortable, even if that means that I'm having to use AI? Don't I deserve to pay my bills and feed my children? And, I live in the middle of nowhere. I had to sell my car. I can't leave the house. There's an amazing woman named June, and I'm sure she's listening. And June, God love her, picks me up once a month to take me out so that I can go out and have a break from my home. Because I can't walk anywhere. The nearest town is about an hour away by foot. So, thank God for my lovely June for picking me up once a month and taking me out. She's the only person. She could lecture me a bit about AI. And guess what? She's also an artist. And she's also disabled. And she doesn't lecture me about AI, which is quite impressive. Anyway, I got distracted by June. I apologise. Where was I? I'm putting myself first, folks. And I'm not going to give you permission, because it's not like I need to give you permission. But if you're struggling to put yourself first because of ethical perfectionism, this is me telling you to fuck ethical perfectionism and put yourself first. Everybody else does it, and you should too. And when people moan about it, that's because they got problems, not because you got problems. Like I said, AI is here to stay. And AI is going to be exploited the most by the people who need it the least. Because that's life, isn't it? That is colonialism and supremacy. The people who need it the least will exploit it the most. But does that mean that we as a society have to be like, well, that's wrong. That's wrong because it's being exploited. When actually small business owners like myself massively benefit from AI, because at least it gives us a chance to, try to make a living, at least we have an opportunity. And, the thing is, AI is constantly learning that by the things that are being put out there. I'm putting my own original shit out there all the time and making it available for all to see. So in a way, AI is going to be taking from me too, right? And potentially I could be sitting there going, it's going to take me, get rid of my job. I'm not going to have a job in the future, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not coming from that scarcity mindset. I'm not going to pretend like there's only, that it's them or me, and I'm going to do whatever it is to take them down so that I can get ahead. Nah, there's plenty of space for all of us. Come join me. Can someone hear the alarm? I don't know if you can hear that. There's an alarm in my house that is going thanks to a certain device whose name I will not mention because they'll get activated. I really hate that device. It's listening in on us. You know who it is. I'm not saying their name. You know who it is. It's gone. Otherwise I'm going to shout, turn it off. No, I didn't need to do that. Right. So now I've lost my train of thought again. Damn it. I'm so unprofessional. Badge of honour. But no, where was I? So I have a problem. I have a problem with people saying with people saying it's either one or the other. In terms of anything, like two things can be true at the same time. On the one hand, AI is stealing art and images from people without their consent, and that is completely and utterly ethically wrong. It is also going to impact people's bottom lines, their ability to earn money, and again, that is wrong. If people, say you're a book cover illustrator and your job is to create book covers, and then along comes AI and says, I can make book covers too, and you can no longer get work making a book cover because AI has taken over, you have absolutely every right to be pissed about that. I would too. So that's what I'm holding in one hand. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm actually doing it. I'm holding it in one hand. But on the other hand, as a small business owner, as someone who needs to have a website and a podcast and a social media page just to earn a penny, because if I got rid of all of that stuff, no one would be buying from me. I wouldn't be able to sell my courses or my consultations or any of the things that I am essentially trying to sell to you folks, right? I need you to pay me for my work. Not all of you, because a lot of you won't be able to, but those who can pay me, I need you to pay me. Because I can help, not for no reason. I'm not saying just give me money. I'm saying let's trade. You give me money, I'll give you something in return. But if I don't have a website or a podcast or social media, there is no way for me to market my services because I cannot afford to pay someone to market it. Marketing is unaffordable for the masses. For small business owners like myself, it's unaffordable. And therefore, whilst I'm holding in this hand the ethics, the very murky ethics of AI, on the other hand, this is giving me the space and the room that I need to do what I need to do to pay my bills. And actually, I'm someone who is experiencing a lot of oppression. Why can't I benefit from that? Why is that wrong? Why is it that the fat artist whose work, the person who creates the book cover, who no longer can get the work, that's bad. But isn't it bad that I'm not getting paid as well? Without AI, I can't get paid. Isn't that bad as well? Can't both things be true? In an ideal world, and I'm not even saying in an ideal world, one of these days, because I believe it will happen, I will be able to make enough money to do both. To have a website and all of this stuff, and pay my bills, it's not both, and pay artists, all these things, I will be able to do the thing that is ideal for me. I have ideals, I have dreams, I have goals. And those dreams and goals are not selfish. Some of them absolutely are. I want to be able to go on a fucking holiday one of these days. I would like to be able to heat my house for more than an hour a day. I would like to be able to not have to sell stuff in order to be able to pay for food. Also, I go beyond that. I actually would really like to have a comfortable life because up until this point in time, life hasn't been that comfortable. So, I'm quite looking forward to periods of rest and relaxation and enjoyment. Yeah, I deserve that. We all do. So that's going to happen. But at the same time, as my business grows, I'm going to be able to invest into other people. And I can't wait to be able to do that. I can't wait to be able to have a business that I can employ other people, because I'm going to employ fat people. I'm going to employ the most diverse group of people that I can. I am going to employ the people that other people don't want to employ. When you put money in my hands, I am going to be using it for myself, not pretending that's not the case, but also to do good things. You're not going to find me hiring a thin person to do a job that a fat person can do. Absolutely not. Not at all. I'm going to be paying the fat community for the work that I need them to do for me, with me, etc., etc. But first and foremost, I got to earn the money. And it will happen. It will come. It's going to happen. I'm not worried about this. And I'm not asking you to be like, I need your help. No. But also, I would like you to respect me enough to trust me, to respect me enough to trust me that I am who I say I am, and that I have integrity. And I know that's very difficult. Why trust a stranger on the internet? But I hope up until now, I have made it clear that when I need to stand for something, I will stand for them. So I'd like you to respect me by not telling me on the internet that you're disappointed in me. Fuck off. I don't care if you're disappointed in me. Keep your disappointment to yourself. I don't need to hear it, because it doesn't matter to me, but I just don't need to hear it. I don't need your negative shit in my day, because every time you pile your shit on me, I have to take it and put it somewhere else. Well, I don't want it. And that's taking up unnecessary energy. So I would like you to respect me enough not to shit on me. I would like you to trust me enough that I am who I say I am. And I'd also like you to believe that I deserve good things, because I believe that for you, and I'd like you to believe that for me, that I deserve good things, not even just things, good things. Ethical perfectionism is exhausting. I'm not buying into it anymore. And I think I made that clear over the last 2 episodes, but I heard the term and I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I was looking for. That's the missing key. And yeah, I'm going to continue to use AI. I'm going to continue to use AI until the day I no longer need to. And then, because, by the way, AI is not great. I tell AI to do something and normally it's shit. And I'm like, well, that's not what I fucking asked for, dickhead. And it's not good at drawing fat people. And AI is racist. So I had to be very specific. I want them to be Asian. They need to be black. If I say a fat person, if I just say AI, draw me a fat person, it will draw a white man. I have to be very specific with it, and I don't like it. It's very problematic, but I have to. I have no other choice, as I've explained many times. And so there you go. One day I won't use it anymore. It'll be great. One day I'll have an actual assistant, and it'll be great. One day, I will pay somebody to do all the kind of, I don't know, what do we call it, marketing or social media and stuff. Someone else will be doing that, because I don't want to do that. It's not my jam. I just do it because I have to. One day, absolutely, but that day is not today. And if you're not willing to come along with me for the ride, if you're not willing to stick with me, even if I do something that makes you uncomfortable, even if I do something that hurts you, then don't. That's it. I'm not threatening here. I just don't do it. Don't follow me. Don't come along for the ride. And even if you're going to come back 5 years from now when I'm more to your liking, and I'm not going to even hold that against you. Feel free. Come back when you feel more comfortable. Just don't make my life miserable in the meantime. That's all I'm asking. If you don't want to follow me, don't follow me. If you don't, if you don't want to stick around for the hard stuff and only want to be there for the good stuff, that's fine. Just don't make my life harder in the meantime. That's all I'm asking. Feels like a very reasonable ask. Oh, I'm so glad I got that all off my chest. Oh, I feel lighter. Having a good poo, when you just get up and you're like, oh, I feel so much lighter. I need to go and have something to eat now, because I haven't eaten yet and I'm starving. I hope my next episode will include a guest. I don't know who that guest is going to be. I'm going to have to persuade someone to come and talk to me. Actually, I have a very good idea if anyone want to ask. But if I say it out now and then it doesn't happen, you'll all be disappointed with me. So watch this space. I think next episode is going to be awesome. And you might be like, I'm done with you because of this episode. That's fine. Salutations. Love you lots. Take care. But this is not an airport. There is no need for you to announce your departure. Just off you go, quietly and peacefully. Move along, and I'm good. I wish you nothing but the best. For those of you who are sticking around, see you next week.